I have no clue.
The RTDS simulator is a tool that's used by the power system industry to understand the behavior of the electrical network. We can simulate and test equipment under realistic conditions by connecting the equipment to the simulator.
It was interesting in that when RTDS first came to me and I looked at the opportunity, I thought there's not a lot of companies like this, particularly in Manitoba. Technology companies, I've been around with them a long time, and this one is truly unique.
Certainly without the HVDC Research Center, there would be no RTDS.
The research was done as a result of a need from Manitoba Hydro. Manitoba Hydro, of course, operates one of the most complex HVDC systems in the world. And controlling and protecting that HVDC system is a big deal.
At that time, the way that HVDC was studied was using an analog simulator, a device that would occupy area the size of a small gymnasium.
It's very expensive, many tens of millions of dollars to install and to maintain and operate.
So the idea was that we would try and develop one of our own. And the idea was that we would build one digitally.
Manitoba Hydro had been doing quite a lot of research in electromagnetic transient simulation using a program called EMTDC or PSCAD. So we had the background to the digital solution.
My background was in controls, so I did a lot of work to demonstrate the feasibility of the simulator and how it could be used effectively. I used to work for General Electric in Eastern Canada, and we built a couple of big DC schemes, and in both cases we did it without the use of a simulator. And so developing controls when you don't have a simulator means that you have to actually do a lot of testing on the real system. Very, very difficult to do. So I knew there was a market for simulation equipment.
Many years of effort went into running the very first real-time digital simulation. We pushed the digital technology when the rest of the industry was still relying on analog simulation technology.
The technology, even in electromagnetic transient simulation, was relatively new, and it was not completely trusted. And so there was a lot of demonstration that we had to do in order to convince people that this was possible.
We fought quite hard with the traditional suppliers of analog technology to prove that the digital technology was not only as good as, but better than the analog technology which was available at the time.
And there were two things that came together that created the magic. And one of them was real time, being able to perform the simulation function in real time. And the other one was a graphical user interface, because that in those days was also something that was brand new.
When we first got our first large contract with a certain customer, we explained to them a lot of the limitations, like there are interfaces here and you have to have this much inductance there. We even wrote it into the spec. And we delivered it, and the guy said, "No, it has to do that. We're not paying you." Well, we didn't have a whole lot of money at that time. So I had to develop a model that would actually work so we could get paid and we could keep going.
We never grew at the rates that are sometimes common in high-tech startups, but we had sustainable, continuous growth.
When I started with RTDS in '95, the office was a buzz. You can imagine there were about 13 people in the company at that time, and we were just taking on our first big projects.
The question was out there, are we going to make it? Could we make the system work? How big was the system that was required? And a lot of these projects had never been done before, so there was a lot of stress.
I think we are very fortunate to have a high technical team with diverse expertise. We have software team, we have hardware team, and we have a team of power system and power electronics engineers. And one of the unique things of RTDS is we develop the hardware ourselves. We get the process chip from the process manufacturer, and other than that, we design the entire hardware based on the exact need of power system simulation. This two end, we can do very large and very small, and very accurate. That's our goal.
I think RTDS is successful, of course, because it fills a technical need, a niche, but especially because of the expertise and the commitment to the customer that we bring to the table.
We want to understand what the actual issues are that are customers are dealing with. We want to be able to solve them, understand them, and work towards a solution that is truly unique to them.
Currently, RTDS Technologies has customers in 50 countries around the world.
From the banks of the great Russian River Volga, a lab team congratulates all colleagues from RTDS Technologies on the 25th anniversary of your company.
Happy birthday from Germany.
Ernesto from Venezuela.
Slovenia and former Yugoslav countries, Croatia, Serbia, Macedonia,
USA.
Japan. Southern Africa. Bosnia and Herzegovina, Montenegro.
Spain and Portugal. UK and Ireland.
Albania, Bulgaria, Romania and Ukraine.
Congratulations. Congratulations to 25 years of RTDS.
Seeing that connection and the excitement of customers to meet the people who have provided them with simulation support is really what elevates us from other people in the industry and also industries and providers of technology in general.
This might sound a little cliche, but it's truly the people that actually are the driver towards the success of RTDS Technologies.
40 years of business, I've learned one thing. It's all about people and relationships. And the people I met are just extremely talented, technically outstanding, excellent business partners.
I have tremendous admiration and respect for the employees here. We've tried as much as we can to share some of our success with the employees. I feel very grateful that things have worked out so well.
From the 4 or 5 people that we started with to the 75 or so that we have now after 25 years.
And I think that's really what sets us apart, is that our people are very interested in making sure we do succeed and that they succeed.
It's awesome. I mean, I can see the joy, the fulfillment, that's what it is that RTDS, the way that they treat you, the challenges they give you, the receptiveness to your ideas it's really fulfilling, right?
Yes.
And that's a good way to live your life.
Yeah. I've been with RTDS for 5 years.
5 years?
Just over 5 years now.
I've been with RTDS for 9.5 years.
For 9 years now, a little over 10 years.
I've been with RTDS for 25 years.
That moment when I was giving the interview with RTDS, I told them that, hey, this is my last day in the country because I'm going away for 2 weeks to get married, and they were understanding about that.
We have 75 families here that we're responsible for, so get it right. All the various elements that go into making this a successful enterprise have to be carefully considered.
We've seen many jumps in terms of technology capabilities and substantial jumps. So it's been exciting as a developer here to see the opportunities come up in the available technologies, but then also take advantage of them here at RTDS.
I think he enjoys his job. I don't think he'd be there if he didn't enjoy his job. He enjoys the people he works with. Like, he's been there for 23 years. That says something about the company.
How many years have we even existed?
You've existed for 6.
Life at RTDS has often had a lot of excitement. And part of that excitement, I'm sure, as many other people have mentioned, is the travel.
On the India trip, the students in our course all brought in like a potluck meal. It was amazing. Doesn't really get any better than that. And I tried these crackers from one of the customers and I really liked them, these savory crackers. And then on our way out of the town, we pulled the car over and it was like, oh wait, we have to pull over here. Like, this is the home of one of the trainees. And his wife had made me a jumbo jar of these crackers to take home to Canada. Because I guess he'd mentioned that I thought they were tasty, so.
We were in Russia. It started out fine, and then we landed in the wrong city. It took us about an hour to find out that we were in the wrong city, and then we had to kind of hitchhike.
Rick Kuffel and I happened to be in Korea, and Mr. Choi was the Korean rep. He sang some Celine Dion that night. Also, that was the first time that I had scotch.
There's a lot of people here that certainly have a lot of fun. I've seen lots of events along the way. So there's a few closet karaoke people in the organization that I didn't know about. But I think for me, actually, the most fun event for me is actually the Halloween event. I see lots of people that really get into it around the organization, lots of interesting costumes along the way. I myself have had a few costumes. I think my family takes more pride in dressing me up than anybody else. And probably the favorite most people talk about is my Buddy the Elf costume. That was probably the one that was maybe more revealing than anyone wanted to see. But my family's already started to scheme the next costume for the upcoming event, so they're very into it, more so than even I am.
Favorite events throughout the entire year, the Christmas party for the kids. Santa comes, brings toys for everyone. Resonant of just these great family feelings that we got.
For many years I was Santa Claus here. Probably the most fun thing I did all year, because these little folks come to see you and they have an integrity about them, and so they believe, and I believe. So it becomes a very rewarding experience. Having the brand and the market presence that we do, it gives us a very interesting platform and ambition.
I mean, we see ourselves as pioneers of this technology. We have been involved in this industry since we created it in the 1990s.
Nobody knew where that ceiling was, and we didn't hit it in the 90s. We haven't hit it yet, I don't think, so times are exciting.
I think there's lots of opportunity for RTDS in that we have a great base of technology. We have a certain amount of know-how that actually can span other market verticals we haven't necessarily touched yet.
We see very positive future for RTDS and for simulation in general. As power systems become more complicated, more integrated, and more modernized, we need to understand them better.
I think we have an excellent team of people here that are well able to take this company into the next 25 years.